Hello people, this is Vicky Shrestha from Generic NEP channel. In this video, I will not be doing a full review of Crysis Remastered, but instead, I will be showing how it performs in a legacy Sandy Bridge microarchitecture i7-2600 CPU bundled with NVIDIA Geforce GTX 1600 Super. Yes, you heard it right, Super. For this test, I will be running on 16GB DDR3 memory, and the game has been installed on SSD 512GB. You will notice that still a 12 plus years old CPU, the Sandy Bridge was one of the best generation Intel had to offer. So let's see, can my system run Crysis? Now for this test, I was able to use the mix of some high to can it run Crysis settings, and I was able to get an average of 40 FPS. These are the settings I recommend using on a rig like mine because it gives you the experience of some beautiful graphics along with a smoother gameplay experience. Though not buttery smooth at 60 FPS. Coming from a console gaming, I do not mind as long as my FPS is above 30. Also remember, my specs, especially my CPU, already is below the minimum required specs to run this game. Therefore, I am happy with what I am getting here. Crysis Remastered, a revamp of the classic first-person shooter for modern platforms, has received mixed reviews that highlight both its strengths and limitations. GameStar mentions that while Crysis was a groundbreaking game in 2007, the remastered version in 2020 falls a bit short in terms of innovation and gameplay excitement. The remaster is criticized for its lack of technical advancements beyond graphical improvements and is described as somewhat underwhelming, especially given the high hardware demands similar to the original. Despite these criticisms, the game's fundamental elements, like its gameplay mechanics and nanosuit abilities, remain intact, but don't impress as much as they once did. Den of Geek provides a more critical perspective, emphasizing that while Crysis Remastered showcases significant graphical enhancements with features like HDR support, ray tracing, and even 8K resolution support, it ultimately feels more like a glorified texture pack than a full-fledged remake. The review points out that the gameplay and AI haven't aged well, with criticisms towards floaty gunplay and bullet sponge enemies. Despite the visual upgrades, the review suggests that the game's legacy may be better appreciated as a piece of history rather than a current gaming experience, arguing that many of its innovative features have been surpassed by other titles over the years. Both reviews touch upon the fact that while Crysis Remastered might attract fans of the original or those curious about its place in gaming history, its appeal may be limited due to dated gameplay mechanics and the high system requirements needed to enjoy the game's visual upgrades. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of the video.
Is in charge of the whole operation.
The guy behind that massacre a few years back? Well, why would he be here?
I don't know, but watch your backs. These guys are hardcore. You're approaching a KPA radar station. Find a terminal and access their tactical network.